Hi guys, welcome back to the Explorer Academy's The Nebula Secret, written by Trudy Truitt and brought to you by National Geographic Publishing. Today we're going to be starting on chapter 19, which is page 176, so if you have your book, we'll jump right in and get started. Cruz exhaled, then inhaled. He was breathing. He glanced down. There was no holes in his body. Beside him, Cruz's dad was alive and whole too. Rook had lowered the laser and was staring at the top of the map cabinet. What the devil? The bookmark was moving like a butterfly opening its wings. Flaps were unfolding from the center of the square. The flaps multiplied and then began creasing themselves as if someone was creating an origami sculpture. Except no one was touching the paper. After dozens of lightning-quick pleats, a three-dimensional sphere made up of pointed triangles began to take shape. Once the pointy orb was complete, a pale orange light appeared at the tip of one of the paper triangles. The sphere rolled into the light-faced Rook. A beam shot out. Starting at its head, the ray went smoothly and steadily down his body. When it reached his waist, it abruptly shut off. 10 seconds later, the sphere began to collapse. The triangles became flaps, and the flaps folded inward. It was like watching a video in reverse. Within seconds, the sphere was a flat, square piece of scrap paper once again. "Remarkable," said Crook. "I have no idea. I think this might be what you're looking for. Or should I say, what's looking for you?" He waved the laser at Cruz. "Step on up. Let's see, shall we?" With a nervous glance at his dad, Cruz obeyed. "No sudden move, Zora," the librarian pointed his weapon at Cruz's father. Cruz tapped his bookmark. As before, after about 15 seconds, the white paper transformed into a pointed sphere. Cruz stood still as the orange cone of light swept over him. He felt no heat, no discomfort. When the ray reached his stomach, it went out. "See? Nothing. Nice try." Cruz spun away. "Hi, Cruiser." Cruz stiffened. It had been a long time since he heard her call him that. Cruz turned. Drifting above the square was a three-dimensional holographic image of his mother. She looked the same age as she did in his Beach Hollow video, except her wavy blonde hair was pulled back in a low ponytail. Over jeans and a long, white-sleeved cotton shirt, she wore a gray cardigan sweater with a belt and a brown leather buckle at the waist. The sweater looked familiar. Cruz felt a lump rise in his throat. He looked at his father, but his dad wasn't looking at him. He was gazing up lovingly at his wife. Cruz approached the ghostly image. "Mom? How are you, son?" "I'm okay. It's been a crazy day, that's for sure. I had a hard time finding you. Sorry about that." It's all right, Mom." Cruz knew this was only a program, that she had pre-recorded responses that were triggered by certain keywords, such as "hard time finding you." Even so, she was talking to him, and he was talking to her, and for a moment, he could pretend it was all real. I miss you, Mom." It felt so good to say that word out loud, Mom. He wanted to say it over and over. "Mom, Mom, Mom." "I miss you too," she said. "Get going," growled Rook. "I don't have all night." "Mom, I have some questions," Cruz said to the image. "I know," she answered. "Unfortunately, this program limits my responses. There's so much I want to say and not enough memory to say it." She grinned. "If you're seeing me now, you must have decoded the message in your birthday letter. Congratulations, you have found my journal." "You mean this is it?" "Yes, I organized it into a digital robotic format that only you could access," she said. "Why?" demanded Rook. She did not respond. "Ask her what's so important she had to hide in a journal," Rook said to Cruz. When Cruz hesitated, the librarian waved the laser. "Ask her." Mom, why all the secrecy?" "Several years ago, before you were born, I began doing research in the synthesis with animal venoms. Science has taught us that the toxins snakes, scorpions, jellyfish, and thousands of other creatures produce to defend themselves have the potential to treat illness and injury in humans. Nebula Pharmaceuticals helped fund my research for a venom-based drug that showed promise in treating pain." She clasped her hands in front of her face. "However, the serum I developed did more than I anticipated. It not only alleviated the pain of the patient who took it, it also showed great promise in curing them of whatever was easing that pain. The common cold, a broken leg, arthritis, kidney disease, even the last stages of cancer. The serum's regenerative properties on the cellular level were nothing short of miraculous. Wow, said Cruz, his dad, and Rook in unison. Of course, the last thing a pharmaceutical company making billions of dollars selling drugs wants is for humanity to never need those drugs, continued Cruz's mother. Nebula demanded I destroy the serum and the formula. Under pressure, I agreed, but I knew that it wouldn't be the end of it. As long as I was alive, as long as I had knowledge of the serum, my life was in jeopardy. I wanted to tell your father, but doing so would have put him and you in grave danger too. Cruz glanced at his father, mesmerized. His dad had tears in his eyes. I knew Nebula was watching me, monitoring my every move, she continued. I couldn't let such an important discovery be lost to history, but I couldn't record it either, not on any computer, even one at home. That's when the idea came to me. It was so simple, really. I requested to travel with the explorers on Orion as a research mentor for the older students. Before we left port, I laser engraved the formula onto a piece of black marble and split the stone into 8 fragments. During our voyage, I hid the pieces in different places around the globe. Beside her appeared a floating collage of handwritten notes, directions, illustrations, maps, and coordinates. If you choose to find the pieces of my formula, this journal will guide you, she said. Each time you find a fragment of the stone, show it to me. This image that's standing in front of you. If it's a genuine piece, it will unlock another clue. For security purposes, the clues will be coded and many will contain hints you must decipher. Once you have assembled all 8 parts, you'll receive further instructions. She turned to face him. Since you were born, I knew you were destined to do great and important things. You may have your father's good looks, but you have my sense of adventure. Her lips straightened. I won't lie. It will be dangerous. Nebula may try to stop you, even hurt you. Others may too. The synthesis supported my work, but sided with Nebula over the destruction of the formula? I don't know at this point if the synthesis is to be trusted. If you'd rather not attempt it, I'll understand. In fact, I'll be a bit relieved, and I'm sure your dad will too. Destroy this journal, don't look back, and live a happy life, knowing I am, and always have been, proud of you. Take as much time as you need to consider my request, said his mother. This is a great responsibility, and you must decide if it's worth the sacrifices you will no doubt have to make. The choice is yours. Cruz looked into his dad's glistening eyes and knew in an instant what his answer would be. Mom, I don't have to think about it. I'll do it. Somehow I knew you'd say that. Do your best to find my formula, son, and share my life's work with a world that desperately needs it. Cruz swallowed hard. Where do I start? To find the first piece of the serum formula, dig through our family memories. I know you can do this. You can do anything you set your mind to. I'll see you soon. Wait! Cruz fell against the map cabinet beneath her image. That's it? That's the clue? You have all you need to know to begin. I love you, Cruiser. Never forget you are an extraordinary human being. Lifting a hand, she disappeared. Within seconds, the sphere transformed back into a flat, white bookmark. Rook pounced on it. Nebula's gonna want this. He stuck it in his back pocket, then nudged Cruz with the laser. They're gonna want you too, recruit. You heard your mother. You're the key to unlocking all of this. I don't think so, said Cruz's dad. This has gone far enough. Rook, my son isn't going anywhere with you. No? Rook lifted his weapon. Whoa, 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 cried Cruz, stepping in front of the laser. He had an idea. I'll go with you, Mr. Rook. I'll help Nebula find all the pieces of the formula, and I won't be any trouble. But they have to promise to never harm my dad, my aunt, or anyone I care about. A little vein in Rook's neck began to vibrate as he considered it. All right, your family won't be hurt. You have my word. For whatever that's worth, murmured Cruz's dad. Get your coat, Rook ordered Cruz. Cruz scooted past the librarian. In one quick motion, he snatched the Narnia book off the map drawer and tucked it against his hip. At the door, he lifted his jacket off the hook. Cruz rustled his sleeves to mask the whisper of Milan. The weapon still trained on Cruz's dad. Rook backed up until he was next to Cruz. He opened the door and nodded to Cruz. You go first. I'll be right behind you. Don't try anything. Fortunas Fortuna Advat, murmured Cruz. What did you? Cruz flung the book at Rook, who ducked, but not fast enough. The novel smacked him in the face. Cruz saw a flash of red. Mel, defense mode, he cried. Target, man holding the laser. Mel, go. The honeybee drone shot out of Cruz's pocket, zeroed it on Rook, and began poking the librarian. She zipped up and down, left, right, stinging him on the shoulder, the face, the head, the chest, then back to the face. Mel was moving so quickly, Cruz lost track of her, but he knew she was heading her mark on Mr. Rook's yelps. Ouch, ow, ow, ow! Rook tried to fight off the drone, but she was too fast for him. Reeling back, Rook tripped on the door jamb behind him. He smashed into the railing of the catwalk, dropping his laser. His foot skidded through the opening between posts. He tried to keep his body from going through too, but he couldn't. Sliding over the side, Rook flailed his arms, frantically groping. One hand caught the bottom of a post. He brought the other hand up. Cruz and his dad charged forward. Rook was dangling 50 feet above the library floor, clinging to 2 metal posts. One of them was bending. Cruz clamped his hands around the librarian's left wrist. His dad took the right wrist. Set your feet, his dad shouted. Crouching, Cruz got into a wide stance. Now pull, ordered his dad. Cruz heaved with all his might, but gravity was not on his side. Now dead weight, Mr. Rook was pulling him over the ledge. Cruz could feel his grip slipping. Let me go, pleaded Rook. Just let me go. With a massive grunt, Cruz arched his back and pulled. It felt like his knees were going to explode. That's it, his dad cried. We've got him. With one big yank, they managed to drag Rook onto the catwalk. Cruz and his dad collapsed against each other. I can't believe I almost... Rook looked at Cruz and his father in astonishment. I can't believe you. Cruz, Marco. Aunt Marisol was coming through the main door of the library with Taryn. Up here, yelled Cruz's dad, getting on his knees to wave. Call security. To Cruz, he ordered, stay here, son. I'll get the laser. Rook didn't try to run. He cowered in a heap against the wall, catching his breath. As several security guards raced up the steps to the catwalk, the librarian stretched an arm toward Cruz. Here, he held out the paper that was Cruz's mother's journal. This belongs to you. Cruz took it. He was feeling tired suddenly, lightheaded and a bit disconnected from reality. Something, somewhere was starting to throb, but he couldn't tell where. It was as if he was in a dream and wanted to wake up but couldn't. Mel, come here. The bee drone came to land on his shoulder. Good job, Mel. Good job. Turn off. That's when Cruz saw the blackened hole in his right sleeve. Beneath its tattered remains, he saw a smoking white hole surrounded by fiery red skin. He'd been hit by Rook's laser blast. Cruz closed his eyes to shut out the growing wave of pain. It didn't work. Thanks for listening, guys. Next time, we'll be starting on Chapter 20.